We are live.
Hey you guys, happy election day.
I'm not sure it's happy.
I'm
I
being
mean,
facetious.
it'll be happy, when this is all over. But here's the thing: even if our person's winning and he's looking good right now, it's not necessarily like happy day in America
No,
because
it's not happy.
people are very angry and upset and all this stuff, and no matter what, we're looking at the most divided America has been in modern times in terms of it's not so much that people are more divided in terms of even raw numbers. It's how visceral it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's how hateful and violent and the lengths people are willing to go.
Right.
We're going to be answering any questions people want to answer today, but I will give you guys a little bit of information first while you guys are thinking up your questions and typing them in. So I've said consistently, watch Florida, watch Florida, watch Florida. Florida's looking fantastic right now. Republicans have the lead in Florida in terms of registrations of voters, people who have voted and what their registration is. Republicans have over 100,000 vote lead at this point. And, it's looking fantastic. If everything looks as good as Florida looks, we are sitting pretty. Florida does a really good job at this point of reporting, which is something I think, they've focused on because of the problems they had in the past, especially places like Broward. And so we're looking really good there. That makes me very hopeful. But going ahead to look at your guys' questions.
What I'm concerned about is that, if you watch various media outlets on the left, they're saying that the election is not going to be called tonight. They're saying, oh, it's not, we're not going to know for a while. They all have this consensus that we're not going to know today. So that's a couple of red flags there, because one is, why wouldn't we know? If a certain amount of votes come in, and we know how many people are in those states, we can conclude that there would be a winner. But secondly, are they trying to, do a math equation in real time to make up for those votes, to go find those votes? Are there some 18-wheelers somewhere parked with votes, the votes they need to bring in at the last minute over the next week? That's what concerns me.
Well, yeah, we're looking at this unprecedented reality that in some states like Pennsylvania and North Carolina, you can have votes that are postmarked after the election day, up to 3 to 9 days, 3 in Pennsylvania, 9 in North Carolina, where they're saying, oh, those would be valid votes. That's not normal. We've never had that for anybody except for the military. And so there's a question there that I was going to answer.
Oh, okay.
But before I get to that, I was going to say there's somebody named Courtney Holland. A lot of you might follow on Twitter or Instagram. She was just suspended for posting proof of an Instagram account that said they destroyed ballots. She made no declarations or whatever. It was just, hey, here's proof that this was posted. This needs to be looked at. She was just suspended, huge account. I actually ended up pulling down that same piece of information about fraud because as many of us that can stay up to date, the better. And that's one that, I reached out to Twitter that their system is flagging. They said they couldn't give me specifics, but they're in contact with the states. And if they feel like something is not confirmed, they may act on it. And we wanted to be able to reach you guys, so I deleted that one so I don't get banned midstream. But, there are problems out there. I posted some stuff from Philadelphia that is confirmed that, Twitter, there's no way they can deny of, just blatant electioneering. So there's issues. Pennsylvania I'm worried about, and I will be honest about that. Somebody asked, M. Hollow 67 said, do you think if Donald Trump wins, will we finally clean house at the State Department, FBI, CIA, etc.? Yes, I do. I think that one of the first orders of business, and this is not just my opinion, this is information I actually, heard from good sources. Chris Wray would be one of the first people fired. I think you would see Fauci fired. You would see I don't know about Gina Haspel at the CIA, if anything would happen with her. I think it's possible, but I don't think it's as big of a priority as, say, Chris Wray. Getting Chris Wray out is a huge priority because he has just slow walked everything and has not been doing his job. To put it very frankly, has not done his job. So thanks for that question. Let's see here real quick. I'm trying to...
I hope that there were some lessons learned with the Trump administration about how they've handled certain people, and they'll use more discretion in their hiring practices. And just, you know, there's a lot of people that have been,
Oh,
essentially plants.
we've got one at the
So
polls right now.
awesome.
You stay in line no matter what. By the way, this is huge. Make sure all your friends and family, everybody knows, stay in line, okay? There's a bunch of shenanigans, different places. Oh, the machine's down, or oh, just give us your ballot. We'll scan it later. The scanner's not working. Stay there as long as you can possibly afford to make sure that your vote gets scanned and it's counted. Period. You want to make sure that you were there, you were present, you saw that vote cast. You deserve it. Our country deserves it, and the integrity of our election deserves it. So let's see.
I'm thinking about the future too, because, you know, no matter what, I mean, there's still going to be division. There's still going to be, even when Trump wins, which I believe he will, there's going to be violence. I mean, we're bracing for violence. We know that there have, from certain intelligence, there are people taking preemptive action to protect
Well, we have. I'll say
businesses
this.
and
I'll say
things
this.
like
We
that.
have military stationed in different parts of the U.S. ready for violence because they
Right.
have seen that there's people who've talked about it, who have thought about it, who have planned for. I mean, let's just be real. If Trump says he wins tonight, and Florida has gone his way, and it looks like Pennsylvania is going his way, you're gonna see some really not great stuff. I'm not excited
Well, I
about
mean,
it. I have to, what's weird is we have to be very careful today how we say things because
right.
Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube
Big
are
Brother
all
is
overtime right
watching.
now. And I'm in communication with some of the people at these places, and they basically I've gotten the warning like, hey, be very careful today because they are going after everyone. And so I have to be careful exactly how we put things. But somebody here said I'm worried about fraud. I mean, I think we all are. Philly does seem sketchy. What happened there is just unbelievable. The fact that part of the local DA's office went down to investigate, that they put a sign up telling people to vote for Biden on the polling place building, and instead asked the Trump person who was there, who called it in, asked them if they were intimidating voters, is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Instead of looking at the crime, they invent one. It's typical projection. You guys have a lot of comments,
Right.
but not many questions.
I mean, that's what we have to brace for, is like what I'm talking about, is they're going to have a whole narrative of election interference, election fraud, their whole thing, just like Russia. It's going to be that we don't have all the votes, and that, they're going to find these isolated, whether they were contrived voter fraud anomalies, stories, to try to legitimize their argument and bolster their narrative that this somehow was election fraud. They're going to do whatever they can, and that's what we're coming to terms with, is they will fight tooth and nail. There are no ethics about it. There's no morality about it. They will do anything.
To be clear to Twitter censors, that is her opinion. And next, somebody said, how many states will Trump win? What do you think?
Well, all of this is our opinion. Like, do we even have to say that?
Yeah,
like,
we do today, apparently, because if anything's not it is ridiculous.
I mean, they think we're all just morons. That we
do.
we like turn on to watch media people, and we think they're God or something, or that we think that everybody is an expert in everything. Like, even the experts aren't experts, okay?
No, they're not. Well, let's put it this way. In 2016, I called the election before CNN, before MSNBC, before any of those places, because I was looking at the raw voting numbers coming in on Secretary of State's websites. I was looking at what was going on. I was looking at the counties, county by county. The TV, they want to draw the drama they can to keep the ratings going. So they'll slow walk everything. I called the election before any of them did, and it was everything I said was accurate in 2016. And that's a good example of the fact that the experts are not, in fact, experts on TV. In general, they're people that are put there to make sure that they have decent ratings for the night. So in terms of how many states Trump will win, I think that, let's go to the key states instead, because I don't want to name every state and I haven't counted them in my head. But I'd say the key states are Trump winning. Florida is huge. Okay. Only one person has ever won in modern times that didn't get Florida. That was JFK.
Kennedy.
And I don't think that Biden is anything like JFK. So I don't think that's going to happen. Trump, I think, is going to win Florida. The other states I would look at is Arizona, North Carolina, Ohio. Trump's got in the bag. Texas, Trump definitely has in the bag. I don't understand why anybody keeps talking about Democrats possibly getting Texas.
I'm actually a little worried about Texas.
Don't worry about Texas.
I'm
Texas is
about
fine.
Texas.
And then, then you need one of the big, these either Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota. You need one of those, okay, to wrap it up to get past 270. I think your best shot is Michigan or Pennsylvania. Michigan is sort of, I would say, my dark horse that I think it could possibly be Michigan, not Pennsylvania. Everybody's been Pennsylvania. I think it could be Michigan because John James is running a hell of a race there. He's really, really tight with Peters in the Senate polls. And we know the polling's off. So with how close James is with Peters, I think it's very possible we see Trump win there.
Durham indictments.
So somebody asked about Durham indictments. I would say this, they wanted to do everything after the election that has to do with Durham because they don't want the accusation. These are political prosecutions and blah, 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 blah. So I don't know a date, but I do know that we're going to see more movement. It's, obviously today's election day. It's not happening today. But I don't know how soon that's going to happen. Where are y'all going to be watching the results this evening? Good question.
I mean, we're not sure. We have a little one.
We are sure. You're terrible at promoting the show. We are having a show tonight.
Where are we going to have a show?
Here, right here.
Okay, and what are we going to do with the loud 4-year-old?
Listen, so we have, we're gonna have to trade off. We'll trade off. But we're gonna have a bunch of people come on, like Ned Ryan, you guys may have seen on Tucker Carlson. We'll have Kurt Schlichter, who is hilarious, and you guys have probably read at Town Hall. We'll have, I'm trying to think everybody that is coming on. Tom Sauer. We'll have Dave Rayboy. We'll have Jim Hansen. There's a bunch of different people. We'll pop in. So we'll do that later tonight. I'm not sure the time yet. I'll tweet about it. But we're all going to kind of follow along, and we all get inside info as the night goes on. So we'll all kind of be popping in and out, telling you guys kind of what's going on as early as possible. Because like 2016, I expect we may have some information before they do. Any other questions?
I messed up.
You messed up the questions.
Yeah, I know. I'm not allowed to touch it. I just mess it up every time.
Okay.
I don't understand how it works.
Looking at your guys' questions. Let's see. Tennessee voting sticker. Yes, absolutely. We are in Franklin. Tennessee's the best. I will say Tennessee's early voting. I saved the sticker just to trigger libs today. I did not vote twice. I saved the sticker to trigger libs today. That's a joke. Obviously
the shirt is definitely triggering libs.
Yeah, this definitely is. But it was very easy. The early voting, took me like 3 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, Kathy.
Let's see here.
Yeah. Beware Bernie bros and their promises. That's true.
I'm looking at your guys' questions right now, finding the next person.
Right. So what time are you going to start this coverage?
Oh, surprise state that will be a flip. I said I don't know yet. I'm still going back and forth with all the guys. Okay. We'll figure out what time and I'll post about it. Somebody said surprise state that will flip. I think it's Michigan. I think Michigan is the surprise state that Trump is going to, and it's not so much like a shocker, but I don't think it's one people are expecting in this race to go for Trump. A lot more of the talk has been on Pennsylvania, but James is running such a great race there that I think that it's actually helping Trump. It's the only state where I would say we have a Senate candidate that is helping Trump over the line there because he's run such a good race. I
think that we're going to be shocked by California. I really do. I think that
no way.
No, I'm not saying that they're going to turn red. I'm just saying we're going to be shocked at the turnout and how many people voted for Trump.
See, we have different schools of thought on this because in California, I think that so many people have left and a lot of them are Republican that you're actually going to see less Republicans vote for him this year in California than you did in 2016 because I think people kind of not all people, but a lot of people gave up on California after 2016. you know,
Well,
because
I
it's,
mean,
the
yeah, I think that
legislature went so far
they're
left.
still, enjoying their little socialism trial run, and I think that maybe that might motivate
I
some
don't think so
last
yet.
minute
I don't think so
votes.
yet. So we disagree on that one, but we'll find out tonight who's right.
Agree to disagree.
But it says, next question from TL Bar 79. How long do you think it'll take to get final results? I think that we're probably looking at tonight. This is my guess, my opinion, my based on good information and my own gut instinct. I think that based on what's happening in Florida, we're going to see the right things happen in other states. I think that when we get late tonight, probably, by no later than midnight Eastern time, I think we will see Trump declare victory. I do think that that'll happen. I think that the networks are going to say it's too early for him to declare this, blah, blah, blah. Biden will come out saying, I believe I won, because he wants to make sure psychologically people don't treat him the way they treated Al Gore. Like when Bush Gore happened, Bush came out victorious and Gore said not very much. And so psychologically, it made people see Bush as the winner. So I think Biden will counter that by also basically saying, we see our path to win and we believe when all the votes are counted, we're going to win, blah, blah, blah. Media will obviously take Biden's side. And then we're going to see court fights that could last weeks.
I think they're going to start pointing fingers right out the gate. That's what I think.
Well,
they're
already
going to
are.
be so scared where they know where it's trending. I mean, once that map starts lighting up red, they're going to start going into a narrative switch, and you're going to see
we're already there. We're already there. Biden's campaign just came out in the last hour.
What you just said was that Biden, he's going to say, "Oh, I don't know about the path." No, I'm saying they're going to cut straight to election fraud, election interference.
Some of them will.
It's going to turn.
Some of them will. All right, some of them will. They already.
What do I get if I'm right?
No, I mean, some of them will. They're going to take multiple different avenues because what Democrats do great is that they flood the zone. So they'll flood the zone with a bunch of different theories, see what sticks. But here's the deal. They already set this up. Some of the people went on the news last night saying there's no way he could possibly win because of the polling that we have in mainstream media. Well, the polling in mainstream media is all based on what those pollsters predict the electorate will look like. They predicted it wrong. You can already see that in Florida, that their predictions of what it would look like is not accurate. So, there was one county I was looking at earlier where they had predicted it would be a +2 county D Democrat in their favor. And right now it's already at +12 Republican. Well, it's election day and counties don't get more Democratic on election day. They get more Republican. So the pollsters were wrong in terms of how they viewed this race and what the electorate would be. Because the reality is he's not making anybody enthusiastic to vote. Democrats are more afraid of COVID than Republicans are. And, they really pushed mail-in voting. So a large portion of what they had came in through the mail. So any leads we see happening like what's happening in Florida now are leads that are going to stick. But I do think, from there to finish answering that question, you look at weeks of fighting in court goes to Supreme Court. And I think at the Supreme Court, the right thing happens and Trump is the winner. But during that time period and for a while after, I do think we're going to see unrest all over the place. And so, I don't want to scare anybody, but I would just say, just be careful, be smart. Don't go into any of these areas. If you see it happening on TV, don't go down there and be a hero. Let authorities deal with it and you stay safe where you are. If it comes to your doorstep, you protect your home, you protect your family, any way that you need to in the moment to protect your livelihood. I think that's probably the best advice I could give is don't go looking for a fight. Don't go looking for any of this stuff. But, if something comes to your doorstep and is a threat to you, then, you're left with no choice. And obviously, beyond that, I would hope law enforcement deals with it and demand the right things from public officials. Did you touch the thing again?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
U.S. Marshals put out a statement saying that they are ready to show up if they're needed. They are doing a great job. What they're doing for trafficking, what they're doing for children, what they're doing to keep our country safe. Shout out to U.S. Marshals because they very well likely will be needed.
So we have one here. I'm not going to read the name because I don't know what that means. But they said, oh, God, I didn't realize what the person's picture was. The red wave. I do think that there will be some form of red wave. Mom of GGK said, "Is Texas safely red in your opinion?" Yes,
He thinks so. I'm nervous.
absolutely
I'm
think
nervous
so.
about Texas.
If we don't win Texas, we don't win the election. So Texas is absolutely red. Looking at everything that's going on, will it be a little closer than 2016? Yes, but it's not going to be as close as 2018, in my opinion. I think we're going to see a gap between 2018, 2020 in terms of the numbers. But our registrations look good. Our turnout is looking decent. As long as there's no drop off, huge drop off that is unexpected today between right now and the end of work. I mean, another thing about Republicans is traditionally you've seen in the data that a lot of Republicans vote after they get off work. So I do think we're going to see a flood of Republican votes between about 4 o'clock and 6:30, 7 o'clock. And later, because some of the places have long lines. So I think that's something to look
So
out
you
for.
think? I mean, I don't necessarily think that Texas would is going to go blue, but I'm nervous that the number might be so close that it could be manipulated. That's what I'm concerned about.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not worried about that because Republicans control the state. So I'm not worried about that. That there will be shenanigans on that level because Republicans that run the state will know, like say Harris County, where Houston is, they'll be able to look at it and say, "Hey, something's fishy here," and be able to go into it, dive in, and look at everything individually. So I'm not worried about that. Twin Gats TV said, "Do you think small states like Rhode Island, if flipped red, will make a difference overall?" I mean, obviously, if it flipped, yeah, it could make a difference. It really could because there's a scenario where Trump could reach, I think, 268. I'm going off memory here, but I think there's a scenario where he could reach 268, and a state like Rhode Island would be the tipping point. But here's the thing: if a state like Rhode Island flips red, that means a lot of other states are flipping red. What's important, though, even in states like that, even in states like California, about voting, is that you do make a dent in the popular vote, which, although it doesn't count, it is something that is nice to try to build up to, because you hate the narrative of, oh, well, you lost popular vote, you won the electoral college, it's not fair, So it'd be nice to be able to bridge that gap. But on the flip side of that, the most important part of it is your vote for local elections and for your state leaders. So whether or not, that shouldn't be, I just want to say, I don't want to discourage anybody from, not voting, in a state where they think, oh, well, I can't flip this state. Even if you can't flip the state, you can add to the numbers, you can add to making sure that you get representation in your state. And so that would be my encouragement to try to make that happen. Is there a place this year for all the numbers in real time? So that's a good question. Not exactly. No. You can see, well, New York Times, I hate to give them any credit, but they do have a thing later tonight where you'll be able to see votes all in one place as they're reported by states. Right now, you can see updates through the Secretary of State websites in individual states, in many states. I shouldn't say most, in many states. So you can look at that, you kind of see what's happening live. It takes some digging and some, you have to have a lot of tabs open, basically. So Twitter, does a pretty good job of, in terms of like the accounts I retweet and stuff like that. There's a lot of people who are keeping track of it, though. Nevada is going to Trump. If Nevada, Nevada is an interesting one because Nevada could very well flip Republican. That's one I think is kind of fascinating because, Democrats do have a lot of control in that state. I didn't think it would be going for Trump, but it's a toss up at this point to me. Looking at the numbers, it could go Republican. So that's an interesting one. That's kind of adds on to the last Will's question. Is there a West Coast state that could flip? I mean, Nevada's not technically West Coast, not close to the beach, but that's probably the closest to the West Coast that I would see flipping is Nevada. Let's see here.
I think we're going to be shocked, though, by the popular vote in California.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I mean, just from talking to people that we still know in California, the amount of people that have come out of the woodworks for Trump and seeing those rallies in Beverly Hills, in the Valley, in SoCal, like you would not think like where we were at when we were in California, like it was a sin to vocally profess your support of Trump,
It
let
still
alone
is a sin.
no, it's not. It's not. The culture's changing. People aren't. They're like they don't care anymore. They don't care anymore. They're.
But it's still a sin to the left there. It's just that the Trump voters don't care anymore, and they're like, you know what? You guys hate us too bad.
That's what I just said. No, but I'm talking about like before. Like if you even said you're Republican, it's like I'm a Republican. You know, and now they're literally marching in the streets. They have rallies
flags
with
on their
cars.
cars.
In Beverly Hills on Rodeo Drive. I mean,
Yeah.
that says something. That shows some kind of movement in the culture. So that's what makes me think. And just how many people, like I was asking Hadas, like how many people do you know that used to be liberal are switching over? She's like, a lot. You know, and I've had that conversation with a lot of people.
We'll see. I do think you're right about the attitude on the Trump voter side changing, but the attitude on the Democrat side has only gotten worse, I think. Hello to the UK and hello to Brazil. I always see Brazilians in here, and I like them a lot. We're going to have to visit Brazil one day.
I've been to Brazil.
Did you like it?
I did.
Let's see. There's a page. If you go to growuplive.com, there's a link to the Patreon. We just set it up recently. We haven't promoted it at all yet, but it's, if you go to growuplive.com, there's a like support button. You click support and it has Patreon and, a bunch of different things, or the merch store, which you can get this shirt, I Am Republican shirt, at the merch store at growuplive.com too.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're definitely not getting rich off this, that we spend more money than we get back. But it helps offset costs of technical people, website, web hosting, all that type of stuff.
Right.
How about Wisconsin? Wisconsin is tricky. That's one where I haven't seen good data yet. I would say, Mary, that I feel like, I shouldn't say feel. What I see in past data is that what happens in Florida generally does have some effect in the Midwest, that you see it in states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, Pennsylvania. You do see a tie between how these turn. So with what we're seeing in Florida, despite the lack of good data in Wisconsin, would lead me to believe that Wisconsin is going to be, definitely the polls are off, but would lead me to believe that it is about a toss-up. So I think whoever wins is going to win by 1% or less in Wisconsin. I don't think anybody's blowing out Wisconsin. I think it's going to be very, very close. I think Erica might be my favorite person today. I want to make sure everybody got a chance to read that real quick.
He is very interesting and intelligent.
I want to make sure my eyes aren't playing tricks on me. Robby is very interesting and intelligent and very informative.
Yes,
Thank you.
You are.
I appreciate that, Erica. That made my day. When will the polls start rolling in? So it depends on the state. Every state kind of like, they can start rolling theirs out at different times, Some do it earlier than others. As you've seen in Florida in the past, like you'll see this huge Republican lead, and then you'll see there's one place who has not reported yet. Do you know what place that is? Every year, Broward County. Broward County and their crooked Democrats running that place every year, for some reason, have a reporting issue. And they just can't seem to get it together. It's really it's interesting stuff happens in Broward County.
What was the place you were telling me that like 4 years in a row or 4 election cycles, it was like the same amount of votes that they...
That was a county. I can't remember the county.
And you're like, somebody should really look into that. It was like,
I don't remember.
North Carolina?
No. North Carolina is a different issue. So in North Carolina, from 2013 to 2012 to 2017, there were 59 races decided by 5 votes or less. 30 something of those races were decided by 1 vote or less. And I was like, that seems kind of weird to me. I think somebody should look into that. That doesn't seem, so don't say 1 vote couldn't have an effect, because you can see plainly in North Carolina that it does.
Did you answer that question?
Do you think Trump will win the popular vote this year? No. I don't think so. I think he's going to win the Electoral College. But here's the thing about it. I would like for him to, but it's honestly, it's not that important. You got to ask yourself, if I was on the campaign and I say I was campaigning to be president, my focus would be just 1,000% on winning the Electoral College. And to do that, you have to neglect some states. And so you would neglect campaigning in California as much as you could be doing it in order to win the Electoral College. This is a mistake Hillary Clinton made during her run in 2016, is she ran in a bunch of states that were already blue. She was doing events there with celebrities and had all these people there and everything. And she was neglecting the states that could flip the election in her favor, like, Pennsylvania. So I think that if you were running a campaign, you wouldn't be worried about it. But I mean, I would like to see it flip. But gut feeling says no. Gut feeling says we're going to see almost the exact same thing that we saw in 2016, except for you could possibly see Pennsylvania, if there's problems there and fraud there, you could possibly see that replaced with Michigan being the tipping point, and having a different collection of states, being the, other stuff, but that Michigan would tip it in past 270. So that would answer this question too about final prediction. Who am I supporting? Oh, I'm supporting, look at my shirt. Of course I'm supporting President Trump. And it's fine if you don't like him. If you don't like his tweets or you don't like his style of communication, I tell people this all the time. You're not electing like the world's #1 communicator. And you can argue, oh, well, they need to communicate well. Well, he has a staff to be able to communicate, and communication is not the #1 priority issue. Is it an issue? Yes, to be fair, it's something you should consider, but it's so low on the list of priorities that I'm not thinking about communication when I'm thinking about who's best for this country. I'm thinking about who is going to ensure the livelihood, the best livelihood of every American and our freedom. Who's going to preserve our freedom? Those are key issues I look at, and that entails a lot of different subjects. So you look at positions on guns, and you look at positions on, abortion, and all types of things, okay? Border Patrol, how are they going to treat police? How are they going to treat our military? You look at all these issues. Who's pro-war? Who's anti-war? All those things. And I think Trump's record just knocks the hell out of Biden's. Biden has 47 years of doing nothing but hurting people. The only thing I would give him credit on is he had involvement in the Violence Against Women Act. So I'll give him credit for that. I'm not one of those people who hate Trump are like, he has never done anything good. I'll give Biden credit, that's a really good thing. But I think the vast majority of what he's done is hurt people. You just look at the Black community and the way that he treated young Black men differently from everybody else. I don't think his actions were appropriate, and I don't think that they were the actions of a political leader who had the best interests of all of America in mind.
Well, and all intellectual, arguments aside, basically, Biden's for shutting down our country. And if you shut down our country one more time for a prolonged period, we will have no country. We will have no freedoms. We will have nothing. So it's really, do you want to vote to preserve America or not? He said himself he will shut down the country on that reason alone. It's freedom or not. So that's really what it's about.
Rise and Fight 2 said, what are y'all thinking about the House and Senate? Both red, hold the Senate, gain in the House. What do you think is going to happen?
About the House and the Senate?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think Senate we're going to keep our majority in the Senate. I do not think we're going to have enough to win the House.
That's what I was leaning towards. I feel good about the Senate. I don't feel good about the House.
Yeah, I think that the House is tough because, what's going to fix that issue is we just had the census, and a bunch of seats are going to get, a bunch of lines are going to get redrawn, and states are going to lose seats. California is going to lose seats. Majority Democrat-run states are going to lose seats. And those seats are then going to other states. So the states they're going to, I think we're going to see those end up being Republican seats. So I think in the next cycle, 2022, I think we will retake the House based on the way that things are going to be redrawn from this census that just happened. Because essentially, we're running races right now that are giving power to areas that it's not matching up with how many people live there. And so the way this all works is after you have the census, they go ahead, they look at everything and they say, okay, well, we're going to take a seat away from this state and give a seat to this state based on population size. And so I think 2020 is when we're going to see things even out, because you have to consider the great migration from places like California to places like Tennessee, which we're a part of. They affect those congressional races on a very real way, because, our old congressional district is now less Republican because of how many Republicans moved here. But Tennessee did not get a 10th congressional district just because we all moved here, because it hadn't been counted yet officially. So that census officially counts it, and then you get the redistribution of seats. And so that's why I think 2022 is when we'll see Republicans retake the House.
Right.
I think that was a good answer.
Yeah.
Will you find it hilarious if Trump wins the popular vote, Landon?
Hilarious? No, I could go either way on that. I don't think I'd be surprised if he did or didn't. I mean, I think that I don't know. I mean, I think that there's the silent majority is no longer silent, which is a great thing. And we're going to hopefully see the results of that, as long as everything is fair in this election, and that we get accurate reporting and results. But no, I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. There's never been a president where there's boat parades and street parades. Yeah. All year long, people have been rallying in these grassroots efforts. Yeah. I mean, this is unprecedented. Nobody has done that. So I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah. Next question, Sean Diggity says, how does Kim Klacik look? Unfortunately, I'll hope for a miracle. I'll pray for a miracle. But where she's from and where she's running in Baltimore, they've always voted for Democrats.
Habits die hard.
I'm not saying it's impossible for her in the future. I think that this has been an amazing run, and I think she's going to make a dent. She's going to definitely make major progress in that area. If she won, it would be earth-shaking based on the past voting habits and the numbers and the mountain that she's facing. I mean, she's brave, because she's climbing a mountain that no other Republican was willing to climb and fight for. And so I give her a lot of credit. I would be shocked, though, based on the past voting habits, the numbers there, the registrations, all that stuff, if she won it. If she did, that means that Trump probably blew out and won every state.
Right. I was going to say that would be a pretty good indicator, that also just the black vote in general. I hate saying that, the black vote. It's just not. I don't like saying that. I don't like referring to people as like categories like that when it comes to voting. But, that would be a pretty good indicator that Candace's efforts, Blexit's efforts would be so fruitful. And I really hope they are, for the benefit of those communities. I really hope to see that continue. Yep. And again, you talk about what a shutdown would do to our country, but also what a shutdown would do to the people who live in these most economically disadvantaged areas. There is no coming back from that when you're starting with nothing. It's pretty awful. I don't think people think about that enough.
Absolutely. So I wanted to get your commentary on this while I'm looking for other questions. Moro JCS said, Trump Tower surrounded by NYPD trucks, fences protecting Trump's property. I want to ask you, in all these cities where you see businesses being boarded up and all that stuff, what does that mean? Like, who are they protecting against? Is that the sign of a campaign that is winning?
We all know that this is all happening because of the left violence. Like, this violence is coming from the left. The threat is coming from the left. And the fact that, the White House is being, I think they're building some kind of huge partition there. They're taking all of these actions, and I think that they're doing it based on real intelligence, coordinated efforts to, they've been planning this for a while. I mean, just think about it logically. Does it make sense to you that they would, act out in violence all year over something like, George Floyd's death, but then having Trump reelected, they would be like, oh, that doesn't really motivate me to go act out. Like, it makes no sense. So, I hate to say it, but prepare for violence. Prepare for a very big.
Just be safe. Be safe.
Right.
Stay home, stay wherever you're safe, protect your businesses, all that.
But we have to be willing to look reality in the face, and that is, unless
Yeah.
something happened that we don't know, a big change of heart. But that's fantasy land.
Yeah.
I don't live in fantasy land. I live in reality, and it's going to be violent somewhere, somehow, tonight, and then in the coming days ahead. So, this is coming from the left. This is not coming from Republican organized groups. There are no right wing, organized violent looters going after Black-owned businesses, smashing in their windows. That's not happening.
Yep.
So this is something that we've come to accept and normalize. But it's important to point out.
Well, this election is about not normalizing it, though. This election is about sending a message that we are not going to accept this as a nation.
Which is why when we talk about it, we have to say it's coming from the left. When we just say, oh, this election, there's so much violence. I'm afraid of violence. I'm not afraid of violence. I'm afraid of the left, their violence. Yeah. Because the right is not going to start violence. That's not what we do. We will defend, our families and our homes and businesses, but we're not going to start violence.
And here's the thing. Some people be like, oh, well, there was this one time, this one guy. That's the thing, though, is that any example you can give is one guy. On the left, I can give you video after video after video after video after video after video after video of groups and gangs,
organizations
the streets,
where they have websites dedicated to the abolition of the nuclear family. I mean, things like that.
So it's a little different,
Well, hostile ideology too. I don't know of any right wing groups that aren't whatever fringe associated that are advocating for any sort of
that are being given millions of dollars.
Ideological,
there's nobody being
goals.
Given millions of dollars with the types of goals that people on the left have who are getting millions of dollars. Sean, I'm sorry about your nutty family. Somebody said,
I have them in my family too.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Mary, can you recommend a channel to watch the results who would have the least BS? You could just tune into our stream later. We're going to talk about the results, go through them and everything like that. I'll post on Twitter what time it's going to be at. I'm going to guess probably around 6 or 6:30 is when we'd start our coverage. I'll post about it though. And we're going to have a bunch of different people on. It's going to be like one big party. So
I could cover your bathroom breaks, but then you'd have to take Coco to the bathroom because I don't think we're going to be able to do this together. You're going to have to do it.
No, I think we'll be able to. No, we're not going to do it together. We're going to trade off. Like, I'll be like, hey, I'm going to take a 10-minute break. Landon's going to come in, but you're going to be on with Kurt and all those people. Like, everybody's just going to be talking about what's going on.
Okay. Good luck, Landon.
Do you think we'll know the results tonight, or will it be days later? I do think that Trump is going to declare victory tonight, and I do think that it will be clear that he won the Electoral College. I do think, in my heart of hearts, my gut instinct, the data that I see so far, I'm thinking that he is going to declare victory tonight. I also think that Biden will follow up by also declaring victory. So, figure that one out. But that's my prediction.
If somebody's going to take the time to purchase Trump flags, and go take time to go be part of rallies and boat parades, I think they're going to take the time, to assume that would translate into a vote if they feel that passionately about Trump. So, and again, these groundswell efforts are unprecedented.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to translate into votes. Otherwise, I don't even know what reality we're living in. So
Sotolongo said, can Trump get to 270 tonight, regardless of Pennsylvania? Yes, he can with Michigan. Michigan could be the tipping point. It depends on, him getting all the other states, the core three, which are Arizona, North Carolina, Florida, and the other things he's expected to get already. And then Michigan, he could cross 270. And then every bar said, if Trump loses, do you support Biden? Absolutely not. I would rather my candidates were. Yeah. This is a good point by Brittany here. Mm-hmm. She says, I would rather my candidates' worst traits be visible to everyone, not sneaky behind the curtain. I think that's a really, really, really good point. And I think that is, it really speaks to what a lot of Trump voters feel. They feel like, hey, you know what? Is he perfect? No. But everything that's imperfect about him, he shows us. Mm-hmm. We get to see it. He's not hiding it from us. And I think that gives a level of respect that, hey, we can see his flaws. I think that's something we'd like to see in more politicians,
I
is
think
them be
also
real about their
that's
flaws.
what's motivated, a change in party for a lot of people. It hasn't just been Trump and what he's done, but the ideology of no longer wanting to participate in this system that's all about smoke and mirrors. It's all says all the right things, but they don't do the right things. I think people are tired of that, of false promises, of just the rhetoric, the beautiful speeches, and then no action. I think people are sick of that. So, and it's one of the inherent differences between progressives and conservatives is like the very nature of being a progressive is that your ground is constantly revolving,
Yeah.
and that in order to progress you have to change your stance on things. That's why you see everything from global warming to now climate change to abortion being safe, legal, and rare to anytime, anywhere. Let's get drive-through abortions. I mean, they're constantly progressing.
Yeah.
And you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
You don't know who they are. So I would rather, with conservatives, you might not agree with everything, or you might, but what you see is what you get. And it's the same thing with Trump. You don't have to like everything, but at least you know what you're getting. You know what you're signing up for. You know the person you're dealing with. And I really don't respect that and don't like that with people that have an ideology that is snake-like. You don't know. They say one thing, they mean another. They say one thing, and they do another. Who are you?
Yeah, love that. You're absolutely right. Thank you, El Sotolongo, for the super sticker. I appreciate it. How will this voting outcome be affected? How will my voting outcome be affected, or the voting outcome be affected after some people have retreated into red states? I think that the states where people have retreated have been New York, California, Illinois, and generally around Chicago, New York City, San Francisco, and Los Angeles specifically. And I think so. You're not going to see very many individual races affected by it. I would say the one area you may see individual races affected by it is in Orange County, California, because you did get some people who left there just like, you know what, I can't deal with the craziness of the state and the taxes and everything anymore. I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere else. They may go somewhere else and make a state redder. Or make a purple state a little slightly more red. They may be helping in Florida or in Texas at this point to
or
keep
the
it more red.
opposite effect could happen.
Well, I don't think you're going to see. We're going to find out a lot of that stuff tonight. In terms of how did people who left and migrated from California, New York, Illinois, what type of voters are they? Were they political refugees like Landon and I, or and I'm hoping that's what the majority are, or is it people who don't understand their ideology, their voting habits led to the destruction of the state that they fled? We'll find out tonight. I have hope that we're going to see more of them vote like us than we do vote the way they ruined their original state that they left. Let's see. So Rise and Fight said they agree. We're going to gain a few, but not the 17 we need. Hey, one House seat that I do see flipping is Connor Lamb to Sean Parnell. That's one House seat I would love to see flip tonight, and I think he's got a great chance. Our YouTube is youtube.com/Robby Starbuck. Let's see. See if there's any more questions before we go.
I gotta take the cat to the vet. I think she's having election anxiety or something. Like she's acting.
To be clear, she's
crazy.
joking. She's not a lib. But something's up with the cat. Trash Kitty is sick.
Yeah, our little trash can kitty, Liberty, is not feeling so well. Maybe this is like symbolism for our country right now. Like she's the embodiment of all of our feelings right now and worries. Or maybe I'm just
sound
losing
like a
it.
Democrat.
I'm losing it. I have a very dry sense of humor today. Okay, just deal with it.
All right.
It's just this is the way things are today.
Okay, there's some people in here that have some interesting ideas. The name on this account is globalism. They said,
That's
do you think Trump and his base is racist and hates people like me who are brown and black? Absolutely not. Let me explain something. I had actually a really visceral moment happen to me. I've been kind of like loose and cool this whole time. Very good mood. But this question actually kind of gets to me because I had a very visceral moment with this young man. It was on video. I went and I talked to a BLM rally, and at the end of it, I saw this one guy. He was standing alone, and he looked really, really sad, and I could feel how upset he was. And I think too often we don't see people as people, um, in the eyes of the political lens, and we think, oh, they're against me. But I could just see his sadness. So I went to talk to him and I said, hey, this is going to sound weird, but I have a question for you. I'm a Republican. Do you think that I don't care about your life, that your life doesn't matter to me? And he had like, his eyes were like kind of watery, and he was like, I don't know. I don't know. And I said, how many Republicans do you think don't care about your life, like as a percentage? And he said 80% probably. And it really broke my heart because, and I told him this. I said, look, I'm going to be really real with you. I have a ton of Republican friends. Okay. It was really hard for me in my industry to come out and say I'm a Republican. Um, but I did it. And I did it because the wrong ideas about who we are have been out there for way too long. And the media has just been allowed to turn us into this like weird caricature of hateful, racist bigots. Um, and they force fed that to you from the time you were in school and through TV and through movies and through everything that you've consumed. So I almost can't blame you for being worried about that or thinking that your life wouldn't matter to us. Um, but I want to tell you, every single Republican I know, if they saw you in an alley and you were getting beat up by two white dudes, they wouldn't look at the skin color of who's being beat up. They wouldn't look and see, hey, what's their ideology? How did they vote? We would go in there and we would risk our own life for you. And I would do that without even thinking, 100%, 100 out of 100 times. If I see somebody who's being jumped by a group of people, I don't think that that's justice. I think that that's something that that's not how we handle problems in America. There's very few scenarios that would ever require that type of violence. And it's really, in my book, it's, if people hurt children or abuse animals, but that's kind of beside the point. My point here is every Republican I know would stand up for somebody regardless of their skin color. I don't know one that wouldn't. And if I did, I would say something to them and I would try to help them to see things a little differently through a different lens.
We don't know any
So
white
I hope
supremacists.
I hope that answers your question, because I really do think, like, even if you as a person are not going to vote for Trump and you hate him and you don't like the policies that I like and you think Robbie's not a great guy because he loves guns and he wants there to be, stricter immigration rules in terms of illegal immigration, whatever it is you don't like about my views. I hope you at least accept one thing, that we don't hate people by color or by creed or whatever. That's not what we're about in the Republican Party. It's not something. It's not one of our values. I would say, if anything, maybe we're rarely idealistic, but I'd say it's one of the things we're maybe a little too idealistic about. Is we would love a world where that was not something that we considered at all. And I think the left is living in a world where they want that to be considered first. They think that that's how we should define people: your worthiness, how much money, you should have access to, or what type of, they talk about equity now, like, oh, how many footsteps up do you need us to help you? And they look at that by color, not by your individual experience.
Right. And we don't know any white supremacists, and we don't know anybody who knows any white supremacists who knows any white supremacists. So my challenge to you would be, if the media, where you get these ideas from, because I think it's the media that is poisoning the minds of people, to maintain this narrative that Republicans are all these racist, white, homophobes, xenophobes, all these isms and ists. And what are they trying to keep you from? Why is there such a need to vilify the other side and not just attack us on our ideas? It's always these ad hominem attacks. So if they're lying about this, what else are they lying to you about?
Yeah.
And try going to a Trump rally. Just go and observe.
See how you're treated.
Right. Have your own experiences, and make your own judgments. Don't let anybody tell you what your reality is. Experience your own reality for yourself. go to a Trump rally or go hang out with some Republicans and talk to them. And you will be shocked. And you can also watch our documentary, because we made a documentary showing the beautiful diversity within our party that is suppressed. And we saw, firsthand that big tech wants to suppress this from getting out. They don't want this narrative to change, because if people knew what a diverse, beautiful party we are with individuals, then they would lose a lot of people, because they bank on the fact that they bank on these stereotypes of being what they are, to not lose people, because people like that have to control based on fear and intimidation.
Yeah. Thank you, Marie, for voting today. I just wanted to tell you that. Thank you for voting. Do you think Twitter and Facebook go crazy with censoring if Trump wins? They're already doing it right now, but absolutely, when he wins, if he declares victory, like if I go on tonight and I say,
I wouldn't
Trump
be surprised
won,
you got
they will. I wouldn't be
banned
surprised if I
or
get
locked
suspended
out
today
or
or something like
anything
that.
like that. They're going to find any
wouldn't.
reason they can to get rid of influencers.
Uh-oh, the comments aren't working now. There we go. All right, there we go. All right, I think we're about wrapped up here. Let me see if I missed any questions.
Yeah, so right.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Praying for the red wave tonight. So look out for my Twitter page. We're about to hop off, but on my Twitter, you will see what time we're going to get on later tonight for election coverage. I'll say this. Go if you can support what we're doing, go to growuplive.com and either donate or buy merch or something like that, because we're working on a couple of really amazing documentaries that are going to have the production value that Hollywood brings. And I'm going to use my background in film, from directing Oscar-winning actors, actresses, some of the biggest stars in the world. I'm going to bring that talent to our side to help explain some of the things that are going on in the world and why they are so dangerous and why they affect our lives, our elections, everything else. So if you are able to support what we're doing, we're self-funding. Anything that you add to what we're doing will be helpful, because it reduces our risk as two parents with 3 kids who are doing this crazy thing, throwing their careers in the trash to fight for America. Anything helps. So growuplive.com, that's growuplive.com. Anything you can do helps. But no matter what, we're going to fight. We're going to fight for America. We're going to fight for freedom. We're going to fight for what we believe in, because that's what we would want our kids to do. So thank you guys. Appreciate every single one of you. If for some reason my Twitter is suspended tonight, go to my YouTube page. I'll be there. I'll be doing a live stream there if I get suspended for telling the truth on Twitter. So thank you guys. Bye.
Bye, y'all.